Rollups in Notion can be really useful. You can use them to show loads of pieces of information from different databases all in the same place. You could also use them to find out if you're missing a piece of data from another database or if something looks a little bit out of trend. Hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell to stay part of the conversation. A rollup in Notion is one of the more advanced features, but you don't really have to be advanced at Notion to understand how they work. So what we're going to do is create two databases, numbers and letters, so that we can use a rollup later on between the two. We're going to fill out the database with some information, 1, 2, 3, ABC, and then we're going to create a relation to put the two together. In this video, I explained more about how relations work in Notion. Now that we have the two relational properties in each database, I'm going to change the other properties in the letters database. So in this case, we're going to create a food property because who doesn't love food? And then the second property is going to be quantity. This may be what you need on your shopping list, or it might be the quantity that you have in your house, and you want to create a formula that works out how many you need for your shopping list. And the food is going to go in the row that has the same letter at the beginning of the name. Apples with A, bananas with B, and carrots for C. Now we're going to relate those letters with the numbers. Those numbers could represent people, they could represent bowls or places in the house that you've got the fruit. And then what we're going to do is actually create the rollup. Now a rollup only works with relational databases in the specific database. So we are in the numbers database, so the only rollup we can do is with the letters database, because that's the only relation the numbers database has currently. And once you've made that relation with the database, you can then choose what property you want to roll up. So what the rollup is doing is it's looking at the relation between the numbers and the letters database. The property it's looking up is in the letters database, so it's looking at the name in the letters database, which is 1. You can then look up any other property in that database, so we have the food, we have the numbers relation, and then we have the quantity. So if we select food as the property from the letters database, what we're asking the numbers rollup to do is look at the letters database and tell us the food property for the relation. So number 1 is related to letter A, and in the letters database, letter A has food which is labelled apples, because that's the property we asked the rollup to show us. Then you can see numbers 2 is B and C, and the food for B and C is banana and carrot, because that's the property rollup we've asked it to show. Rollups can become a little bit more complicated when you start adding in calculations. So in this case, what we're going to do is going to change the property to quantity, and then you can see all of these other options that we get given. So I'm going to select sum. So what this is now doing is looking at the relation between the numbers and letters database, looking at the property quantity in the letters database, and adding them together. So when looking at the letters database, there's only one A, so the rollup is 1 because it's 1 add nothing. When looking at number 2, you've got B and C. So when we look at the letters database, B, there are 5, C, there are 8. So the rollup is adding 5 and 8 to make 13. Number 3 is only related to letter C. Letter C has a quantity of 8, which means the rollup is 8 add nothing because there's just C. We can also use rollups to actually add all of the different relations that we've got. So if we ask the rollup to count all, what we're asking it to do is to count all the relations. So number 1 has 1 relation because it's related to letter A. Number 2 has 2 relations because it's related to letter B and C. And letter 3 has 1 relation because it's related to letter C. So for example, if these were different people, you could see that person 2 actually has 2 things to go and collect when they're doing their shopping. Or if you want to find out if you've missed something off your shopping list or there's no data in somewhere, what you can do is ask the rollup to count empty. So now it's looking in the letters relational database, looking at the property quantity and counting what boxes are empty. And because letter B is empty, that counts as 1. So wherever B is, there is going to be a 1, and you can see number 2 has B in it, which means there is 1 box empty. There are lots of different ways you can use rollups, and I use rollups in my spaced repetition flashcard template, so if that's something you're interested in, I suggest checking that video out over here, and I'll see you there.